Okay, Year 9, today we are doing exercise 7.7, practical applications of linear graphs. So we're going to do some tables and find gradient and then the rule, and then we're going to do some worded problems. So if you're given a table like this, you can work out the gradient by having a look at the y values. So basically these, if it's linear, which means straight line, these go up by the same amount every time. So from 0 to 5 takes 5, this is 5 and 5. So first of all, you can say it's linear because it is going up by 5s. And secondly, the fact that it is going up by 5s is actually the gradient. Okay, so that's quite simple. So from this table, we can see that the gradient is 5. Now we're going to use what we know before, and that is, like we did last lesson, to just grab a point. So we're going to use the point 0, 0. Now, when we have the gradient and 0, 0, remember, we find c, and then we plug it in. So we've got y equals mx plus c. So we're going to put y is 0, gradient is 5, x is 0, plus c. We're going to get 0 equals 0 plus c, so c is equal to 0. So we've got c equals 0, and the gradient equals 5. And we put that into our equation, y equals mx plus c. So y is equal to m5 x plus c. We don't write anything. Now, some of you will know that if the y is 0, you can see it here. It just means it's going to be a 0 gradient, a 0 y-intercept anyway. But I'm showing you that way because that's the way you need to do it most of the time. Let's just do one more. So this time what's happening? Is the space the same? From 8 to 5, 3, yep, 3 and 3. So that's fine, but what's happening with the numbers this time? Okay, it's dropping down. So gradient this time is negative 3. And we're going to use one of these points. Now I'm going to use the second point this time, just to prove that you can actually use any point that you like. All right, so from our method from last lesson, we're going to put stuff in. This is x, this is y, and we have gradient. So y is 5 equals, gradient is minus 3 times x is 1 plus c. 5 is equal to minus 3 plus c. We're trying to get c by itself. What's the opposite of minus 3? Plus 3. So c is, they're going to go, 5 plus 3 is 8. Okay, so now we've got gradient of negative 3 and y-intercept of 8. Put that into y equals mx plus c, and we get y equals m minus 3x, and c is 8. Right, so that's the first half of this lesson. The second half of the lesson is worded problems, and some of you will find these difficult, okay? So I just want you to do the best that you can, and I certainly want you to stop, you're in class, so just put your microphone on and ask to do something, because what I will find, I think, is that we all go through some of these together. All right, Nathan's bank balance has increased in a linear manner. Don't worry about what that means, except that it's a straight line since he started his job. If after 20 weeks of work his bank balance was $600, find the rule that relates the size of his bank balance, A, and the time in weeks that he worked. All right, so first of all, we're going, what? That's just really, I don't know what you're talking about. The first bit, the thing that says relates the size of his bank balance, A, to something else, means that our equation is going to be A equals something. Now, what happens is that we know what he ends up with. He ends up with $600 and he's worked for 20 weeks, but we don't know what he earns per week. So it's going to be what he has ended up with will equal 20 times. So have a think if it's your job. I've got $600. I've worked 20 weeks. So you're going to have 600 is equal to 20 times how often you've worked. And I'm just going to call that x. Okay. Now, in this case, we know what this is. 600. He gets 600 and that's going to equal 20x. Okay, then we do some algebra. How do you get rid of the 20? It's sitting right next to it. Divide both sides by 20. So x is going to equal 30. What does this mean? Okay, think about what that might mean. The end says we want an A and we want a T. So what on earth is the 30? He's worked for 20 weeks. He's ended up with 600. We've found 30. What could that be? 20 times 30 makes 600. So what's the 30? That must be what he gets per week. All right, so we've got to write an equation. So we're going to say he ends up with, which is A, and we need a T on here. He ends up with, the money he ends up getting is going to be 30, because he gets that every week, times how many weeks he works. And that's the equation. Now, it's not easy, okay? I'm not suggesting for a minute that it's easy. I just want you to take your time and write what you can. The next bit should be okay. What's the amount after 200 weeks? So T is the number of weeks. So now this part is just putting in the information. So it's going to be 30 times 200. All right, it's saying, this is saying that T is equal to 200. And if we multiply all that, that is going to be 6,000. All right, and we want to put a dollar sign. The initial amount. So what's the time with at the initial amount? Initial amount is he's worked nothing. So the time in this case is going to be 0. So if he hasn't worked, so no time has elapsed, no one's going to pay him anything. So it's going to make sense that he'll get 0. Okay, so the hard part definitely is building the equation. It's something you just need to get used to by doing some examples. Okay, next one. Software staff can fix 22 bugs per month. They are working to fix a program that initially had 164. So someone said to them, can you come and fix? There's something wrong with our program. We've got 164 bugs in it. And they go, okay, well, we usually get about 22 per month. Determine the linear rule connecting the number of bugs N that are left. Okay, so number of bugs left and the time in months T from the beginning. So have a think about it, okay? This is how many bugs are left. How many did they start with? So if you want to know what's left, you've got to write down what they start with. This company says, come and fix my bugs. I have 164. Now, it's going to go down this time. So for an amount of time, it's going to go down. So every time they have a month, it's a month, sorry, they're going to fix 22. So every month they're going to go down by 22. So we're going to go N, what they've got left in bugs is going to equal what they started with minus 22 every month. All right, let me just go through that in another way. If it was 1 month, you would say that'd be 164 minus 22. And what you did was 22 times 1 month. If it was 2 months, it'd be 22 times 2. So it'd be 164, what they started with, minus 2 months worth. So minus 44. Okay. Now, I don't expect you to have got that by yourself. This is practice, practice, practice. How many bugs will be left over after 2 months? So now we plug in the values. So T now is not T, it is 2 months. This is the one I just said. So you started with 164. 2 months has gone by. That's 44 bugs are dead. So now there's 120 bugs left. Okay. After how many months? What does that mean? This time that means you don't know what T is. You want to find T. Will there be 54 bugs left? They're telling you the N this time. So this time they're saying when, as in T, will N be 54? So we know our equation is N equals 164 minus 22T. This time we put the N over here. 54 equals 164 minus 22T. Okay, let's get some algebra happening here. We want to get t by itself. So the first thing this is minus a t. I don't like minuses, so we're going to put that over to the other side. Even though we have to do a couple of steps, that's okay. That gets rid of that. On the left-hand side now, we're going to have 22t plus 54 is equal to 164. I'm just going to write this up here again because I'm getting a bit messy. 22t plus 54 equals 164. All right, now some algebra. How do we get rid of plus 54? We subtract 54. These go. 22t equals 110. This is 22 times t, so we're going to divide by 22. And t will equal 5, I think that is. In how many months will there be 54 bugs left? It will take 5 months of work to get down to 54. Last question, how long will it take the company to eradicate all bugs? Eradicate means none left. No bugs. So what does that mean? It means n, number of bugs, is 0. So we're going to have 0 equals, what was our formula? 164 minus 22t. How long will it take? So again, we want to find t. All right, I'm going to add 22t again. We're going to have 22t equals 164. Same as we did, divide by 22, divide by 22. T is going to equal 7.45 months. Now, if it wants a whole number, remember, 7 months, they won't be all gone. So you have to go to the next one. If you put 7 months, that's not enough. So the answer might be 8 months if they want a whole number. Okay, so these first questions here, A, C, E, G, I, they're the boxes like we did at the start. And then you need to try and do these 4 questions. And we may need to do them as a class, which is fine. Okay, terrific. Thanks, guys.